Welcome to today's lecture on neural control and coordination part 1. So, today we are going to talk about the nervous system and how it regulates the various functions of the body. In part 1 we are going to only discuss about the very basic concepts about what constitutes the nervous system, the basic unit of the nervous system which is a neuron, and how it generates the electrical impulse and then conducts it. So, let us see. In order to maintain homeostasis in our body, the functions of different organs have to be coordinated. Now, what do I mean by homeostasis? Homeostasis is a steady state that is maintained in the human body of various parameters. Let me give you some examples. For example, your heart rate is always at a steady level of 70 to 80 beats a minute, and your breathing rate is also constant, as well as your body temperature. Unless something happens to make these things change, then the body tries to bring back normalcy by changing the conditions and bringing back these parameters to the normal level. So, this is called maintenance of homeostasis. For maintaining homeostasis, you need to have coordination between the various organs in the body. An example of this is during physical exercise. So, when you are performing physical exercise, your limbs need to move, and how do the limbs move? They move with the help of muscles. Now, the muscles need to contract in order for the limbs to move, and for that they need energy, and they need oxygen, and they need glucose. So, they get their oxygen from the lungs. So, the blood has to travel through the vessels to the lungs, where it is exposed to the air from the outside, and there is an exchange of gases, and oxygen from the air gets into the blood and into the hemoglobin, and there it is carried from there through the heart, where it is pumped and goes through the circulatory system to the muscles, and then the muscles are ready to perform their activity. So, physical exercise therefore involves the coordination between all these various systems in the body, the respiratory system, the cardiovascular system, and the muscular system. So, this was an example of how coordination between different organs is required for any activity performed by the human body. Now, what regulates this? So, this coordination is taking place because of two systems in our body, which are called the control systems. The first one is the neural system, which we are going to discuss today, and the other one is the endocrine system, which we are going to discuss in a few lectures later. So, to begin with the neural system, let us see what is this neural system. So, this neural system provides an organized network of point to point connections, which is required for quick coordination. So, in these organs that I just talked about, the heart, the lungs, then the blood vessels and the muscles, they are all located in various locations within your body, but they need to communicate with each other in order to act in a coordinated manner. So, for this purpose, the communication between these organs is partially carried out through the nervous system. So, this forms an organized network which connects these systems. Now, the basic organization of the neural system has been conserved across evolution. So, from the very simplest organisms to the most complex organisms, the human beings, there is a nervous system which is in place to carry out the functions that I just talked about. For example, if we look at a simple organism such as the hydra or jellyfish, they have a very simple nervous system which just consists of a network of neurons that are just connected to each other. Now, if we move higher, organisms such as insects, they have a nervous system which is slightly more complex than the one that is present in the jellyfish. Here the organism has not only neurons, they are organized into a structure which is called as the brain, and then there are structures called ganglia, which are collections of these neurons, and there are other neural tissues associated with it. Then if we move ahead into mammals, of which human beings are a type of mammals, you see that the nervous system has become even more complex. It has many more parts, and it consists of many more types of neurons which are connected to each other through very complicated networks. So, the bottom line is this process is conserved across evolution. Today's lecture we are going to talk about three things. First, we will talk about the neuron, which is the basic structure and functional unit of the neural system. So, just like in an organism, the basic structural and functional unit is a cell. Within the nervous system, the cell that makes up the nervous system is called the neuron. Then we are going to talk about how this neuron functions. So, in order for the neuron to do what it does, that is communicate between different organs in the body, it needs to generate what is known as a nerve impulse. So, we are going to talk about how this nerve impulse is generated and then how it is transmitted. The third thing that we are going to discuss today is about the conduction of this impulse across a synapse. So, now I have introduced a new word, which is the synapse, and I will explain later in the lecture what it actually means, but for now what you need to understand is the synapse is the connection between two neurons. So, when one neuron is wanting to talk to the next neuron or pass on the information from one neuron to the next, it does it through what is known as the synapse, which is the gap or space between the two synapses, between the two neurons. So, let us begin with first understanding what is the neuron itself, and as I said before, it is the structural and functional unit